All right, everybody. So we just talked about the Niners. I want to talk about the Seattle, another topic, of contention, somewhat contention, right? The Seahawks, the 2013 Legion of Boom versus the 2015 No Fly Zone. These two guys, right? They're part of that team. So obviously one of the guests of the show. But essentially, the if you look at the defenses respectively, the DVOA, defensive value adjusted over average for both teams, is pretty on par. The Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom at 25.9%. The Snowflies on 24.8%. The secondary is obviously ranked, pretty high. The Denver Broncos offense was pretty stagnant, to say the least, during that season, right? The Denver Broncos, and no disrespect, to anyone, but obviously what I mean by stagnant is the fact that Peyton Manning had a very off year that year, right? So the defense was basically kind of picking up the pieces for the offense. Seattle's offense was obviously much better, kind of led by a Pro Bowl quarterback, Russell Wilson, in his second year. And obviously with the weapons he had, not to say the Broncos didn't have the same weapons, such as Demaryius Thomas, Owen Daniels, others, right? But essentially, with that said, the Broncos and the Seahawks, right, when they played in the Super Bowl, it was pretty evident how great, the Seahawks defense was. And then when the Broncos played in the Super Bowl 2 years later, right, against the Carolina Panthers, it was pretty evident how great that defense was, right? Von Miller. But the no-fly zone versus Legion of Boom, we're only talking about secondary, right? So I think ultimately the Legion of Boom led the NFL in scoring, led the NFL in scoring defense 4 years straight. That was a record. And so Pete Carroll, obviously, kudos to him to making those right draft picks. And ultimately, I think that the Legion of Boom was probably a greater individual defense by the secondaries, because they knew how to cut routes, they knew how to recover, they knew how to read routes, they knew how to play in their zone, they knew how to play obviously on their side of the field, such as Richard Sherman. On left side of the field, Richard Sherman, was pretty much unstoppable, right? And so obviously, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Brandon Browner, right? All of them were Pro Bowlers at their respective positions. So, at their peak, Legion of Boom was one of the most lethal defenses to deal with. But I do think something is to be said by, to have the fact that Russell Wilson was still, a very, very good quarterback, and even his second year, even though he didn't make a Pro Bowl. And obviously, Denver, to Peyton Manning, his final season was a shell of himself, right? I think it was nine touchdowns, 17 interceptions. So Brock Osweiler was able to come in, also play. So not to say Peyton Manning wasn't instrumental, if without a quarterback to engineer them and lead them in the playoffs, it was pretty evident that, they would not get the same level of they wouldn't achieve the same level of success, even though the stats don't really show it. So I think in my opinion, the Legion of Boom was I guess the legacy is a little bit greater just because of their sustained dominance over a period of time. But I think just, if it's one season, I would probably just go with the no-fly zone, because the fact that they had to deal with a much more stagnant offense than Legion of Boom. Because Legion of Boom, obviously, Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson, two of the greatest at their respective positions as well. So it made it, a lot easier. And, had Seattle ran the ball in the Super Bowl the second year, they probably would be back-to-back second Super Bowl champions. So actually they probably wouldn't. They would be, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, right? So I would go with just the no-fly zone, that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for tuning to this small and short, sweet episode, and thank you all, and have a great weekend. God bless.